Hey, what's up guys? Fish Tank Mike here. Today we're going to be starting on another nano tank on the shelf here, and we're going to be doing this little guy right here. There's a few things that we have to finish up before we start on this project, but it's going to be a super simple one, very easy to do, okay? And this tank is actually going to be more of a design thing, more of a centerpiece rather than an actual fish tank or aquarium or what you might think of one, but we will be able to put something in this, and I'll ask you for what you think we should put in it later in the video. I'm not sure exactly how many gallons this thing holds, probably only like 2 or 3 at tops. It's not a water box tank like the one right next to it or the 2 down here. If you guys want to get any kind of rimless aquarium, small, big, whatever, I of course recommend Waterbox Aquariums. They're a channel sponsor. They've helped me do a ton, so check out the link in the description if you want to learn more about Waterbox Aquariums, guys. Go check it out. Before we set this thing up, we do need to finish our lighting situation. Here I have like a 3-foot, I believe it's a Phoenix Stingray LED, and we're going to take these little screw hanger things and get them positioned up above on top here, and then we're going to eventually get some zip ties and hang the light from it. Only took about a minute and everything is ready to go. So we have our light there and you can still see all of the little bits and pieces of the zip tie. I want to leave it because we might want to actually raise this up even higher. You'll see why here soon. I want to give you guys a quick update on the tanks that we set up previously in this series, I guess. So we have the 2-tree tank, and something interesting that happened with this is it looks like we got a little bit of a mix-up with the plants. That to me looks like just regular pearlweed, and apparently it looks identical to Monte Carlo when it's in the pot form, grown immersed. You can see, I think, what actually is Monte Carlo on that far left part of the tree. So that's going to be kind of interesting. I don't know if my other pots are mislabeled as well, so I think what I'm going to do is just let this grow out, trim it a couple times, and just see what happens. It's kind of interesting. I don't hate the look of it, but it's also not what I wanted. Now the boost tree is doing really good. It looks pretty much the same as right after we planted it. Boost grows super slow, so I wasn't expecting to see much in the terms of growth on that one, but I think it looks good. Now when we set this tank up, we did put in CO2. Unfortunately, my CO2 ran out like the same day. I don't think I sealed it properly, and my last tank ran out. So I just got back from the paintball store with a bunch of new tanks. This time I have everything sealed properly. I didn't do a check to see if I had any leaks or anything, so we should be all good to go now. If you guys watched the setup of the 2-tree nano tank, you'll know that we got a bunch of stuff from CO2 Art. They sent me a ton of stuff, and so we have their regulator here. I believe this is the Pro Series with the paintball CO2 adapter and the solenoid and bubble counter and everything. So everything is working really good. 10% off CO2 Art. Use the code AQUAPROS if you need some new CO2 gear. I haven't used all these little parts and pieces, but I have used their main regulators for a long time, and I highly recommend them, guys. So check them out if you need some new gear. And then we have the tank that we set up most recently, our cork bark forest with the Java fern. And I know a lot of you guys were harping at me for the substrate being too boring, so we did add in a little bit of Anubias and a couple pieces of boost to kind of liven it up a little bit. And while I think it's not completely there yet, I think it does look a lot better. Unfortunately, I had to take the guppies out. This was about a week ago when I noticed one of them right after we transferred them started to look a little funny. I'm not sure if our water chemistry wasn't quite there, even though I did check all the nitrogen levels and everything was really good. There shouldn't have been any cause for alarm in that department, but just to be safe, I moved them back to the guppy wine glass, and we're just kind of chilling here. I haven't decided what we're going to put in this thing, so if you have some fresh ideas, let me know. Getting back to our tank up here that we're setting up today, guys, we need to start by putting some substrate in it. For the substrate, we are going to be using this really heavy bucket. I promise it's heavy. Either that or I'm a huge wimp of Monterey beach sand. So this is some leftover stuff that I've had for a while, and it needs to go somewhere. So let's use it. About an inch of substrate here in the front, and then it's gradually getting a little bit thicker and a little irregular in some other spots, guys. It's going to be important to have enough substrate in here. We might have to add a little bit more. You'll see what I mean, but we need to fill this tank up first. There's going to be no scaping before we fill this thing up. It's looking nice and level, guys. Probably 2.2 gallons, 2.1 total in here. Now let's scape it, and hopefully you don't get too upset with how simple this is. Let's just do this. Did any of you figure it out? Have it, guys. There is the entire scape. Super simple. See what I mean by it's more of like a design piece rather than an aquarium. I mean, super simple. Obviously doesn't have a filter. The water isn't going to be circulating or moving, so we're going to have to probably battle with maybe some stagnant water problems like bacterial films, etc. But if we can somehow get this thing balanced, then I think we should be okay. And on top of that, once we know that this thing is safe, we could totally put something in this aquarium that will be just fine without a filter. We're just gonna have to change the water and think of it as like a really bad beta tank. We all know that people keep beta fish in things like this, and I don't want to encourage anybody to do that, mostly because, you know, beginners do that, and if you're new to fish keeping at all, then that can end up being a disastrous thing. We all know people that are not into aquariums that do keep betas in stuff like this, where there's no filter, where it's reliant on doing the water change to keep things safe, and those beta fish do fine. They live for forever, right? So it's kind of a weird thing. I don't want to be promoting that because I don't necessarily agree with it, but I think we are going to be able to get away with a situation similar to that with whatever we put in here. I hope I'm not being like totally confusing with what I'm saying. Anyway, that is the scape, guys. I don't know, it's just gonna be the bamboo tank. I don't think we're gonna call it anything beyond that. I don't think we need to, but this is as far as I got in my mind. So this is what I wanted to create, and that's what we did. I think you could totally put some nice rocks in there. You could put botanicals and stuff down at the bottom. That would be cool. And I think I'm gonna lean towards a shrimp related setup here, one that's pretty easy, where we don't have to worry about like having a fish in it, right? We're probably just not gonna put a fish in this, so we don't have to worry as much about the water changes. The shrimp, if we do go that route, are gonna need to have clean water, of course, but we'll make sure that this thing is gonna work before we put anything into it. So if you have thoughts of what we could get away with in this thing, let me know down in the comments below, guys. That is probably gonna be the entirety of this video, just a quick one for you. I think it's a cool concept, and if you have a small vessel, like even something like, you know, the mason jar that this thing was in, like a bigger mason jar, you fill it up with rocks, that could be pretty cool, right? Put it in your living room, put it in your bedroom, wherever, and just don't put anything in it, and I think something like this could be pretty cool. I'm gonna go ahead and seed this thing with some turbo start, just to make sure we have some good bacteria in there, even though it doesn't really matter. Let me screw that thing off there. I just want to make sure, whoa, that's kind of a lot. That should be fine though. I just want to make sure that there's something in here that's on our side relatively, right? I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes me feel better about it. So we'll put some of that in there, and we'll just rely on what was already growing in the root system, right, on the bamboo sticks to kind of get our microbes going in here. And then hopefully that will allow us to one day have something in here and have it be a safe thing. I have a little bit of experience growing these bamboo sticks. I know a lot of you out there have a ton of it, and so you know right away if this is going to work or not, but what I've been able to accomplish before is something similar to this, where you just have the roots in there and everything does fine. As long as there's a decent portion out of water, then they do okay. Now, I know this isn't really a decent portion, but I'm thinking it's gonna work out. Let me know if this is totally gonna explode down in the comments, guys. It's now about a week later, guys, and after looking at this thing for a little bit longer, I decided that we totally should have done what I kind of think we should have done, which was plant this thing. Put some type of aquatic plant in it, because that's gonna have a ton more benefits than just leaving it like this. It's also gonna make it a lot easier to have it be a self-sustaining ecosystem that we can put some fish in. So I think we're gonna pull out some of the baby tiers in here, maybe even some of the Rotala, and then I don't know, maybe we'll think about some stuff over here. think that looks a lot better, guys. I don't know, let me know what you think in the comments. Should we have done that? Should we just left it the way it was? I'll be interested to see what you guys think, but I personally think this looks a lot better. Threw you guys in a little bit of a surprise with the banana plants in there. I forgot that we ordered those in that big plant shipment, but I think they kind of fit perfectly in this tank, right? And now we can call this thing the bamboo banana forest. I haven't had banana plants in such a long time. I can't remember exactly what they do, like how big they get, but we'll just have to see what happens. And this guy's floating a little bit, so we'll see what happens with him. Who knows? I was thinking about putting a little bit of hair grass down in here in the front, but I just think since we're not going to have CO2 in this tank, it's going to take so long for that to carpet, we'll just skip it, and maybe down the line, like a week from now, or if I just come across some really cool rocks, we could put in some pebbles in there and kind of zen this thing out a little bit more. The next video we will start on the water box, the 6-gallon next to it, to kind of round out our main tanks down here, and then we'll get down to this guy, the little paludarium. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to know when the new videos come out, guys. Make sure it's on the all notifications things if that's how you find out about YouTube videos. And yeah, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.